everyone and welcome to episode 2 of Thoughtful Thursdays. Today I wanted to talk you through a website that I've sourced a lot of information from that helps with my coaching practice with lots of different groups and lots of different ages, and that is the CricViz website. So the joy of CricViz is it provides a lot of stats around the current modern game at different levels of the global tournaments, international cricket, with some context. So they use some of the flat stats that cricket already produces, which they produce a lot of, but then they also can bring some of those to life around lots of different things. So there'll be a couple of examples that come up throughout today's kind of conversation where I want to talk about. So the article that I've got in mind that I've recently read is one done by Freddie Wilde from CricViz around Sunil Narine and why he is a legend of T20 cricket. So I've kind of created a little bit of a timeline looking through the information that's been provided by the guys at CricViz, and I've been able to paraphrase some of that into what I've done here. So some of the standout things from it: he's a spin bowler for those that don't necessarily know. When he first started out, he basically created a massive reputation for himself, not only as a run prevention king in the fact that his economy rate was 6.02, which makes him one of the greatest defensive bowlers in T20 history, but also he had a really good wicket-taking ability as well alongside that. So at one stage, his economy rate was below 6, whilst his strike rate was below 18 as well, which is phenomenal for a spinner or any form of bowler within the form of T20 cricket. So some of the things that make this even more outstanding is the fact that when you break down where he bowls his overs, he bowls a quarter of his overs inside the power play and a quarter at the death. So if you are bowling over 50% of your overs in times where the likelihood of ball striking increases is significantly more, then that makes those stats even more impressive. But then to go further beyond that and beyond those traditional flat stats that cricket provides, one of the stats that they've come up with is what's called true economy rate, where effectively they contextualise economy rates by comparing it with aggregate scores from overs in similar cross-phase analysis. So what their true economy rate is for these certain times of the game compared to what the averages are in terms of economy rate across every bowler who's bowled those. So Sunil Narine's true economy rate is minus 1.75, which effectively means that he concedes 1.75 less runs for those the comparison to those other bowlers who bowl in those times. So there's some pretty unbelievable stats, really. And some of the things that they identify about how he goes about doing it, first and foremost, is their theory around flatter, faster and shorter, in the fact that he bowls over 78 of his deliveries above 88 kilometres per hour, and the conversion for that is 54.7, so that's pretty quick for a spinner. But then he also bowls that on average into 5.67 metres away from the batter's stumps. Now, having read an article previously by Nathan Lehman about length in Test match cricket and what we consider a length ball, they were looking at somewhere between 6 to 8 metres with a couple of different variables. So if you can compare that to what the length is that Narine's bowling now, that makes it very difficult for a batter to be able to swing freely and be able to strike the ball with some control. The other thing that's very evident is the margin for error that Sunil Narine has is shorter than Fuller, with only 11% of his deliveries bowled in T20 cricket coded as being full, which is lower than anyone else considerably, which is a fascinating thought process to go through when you think of someone like Mullaratharan, would bowl on average around 4.09 metres away from the batter's stumps as well. So you've got some really interesting comparisons to be made across other spinners. The final thing that made him stand out is the mystery element of his spin with the carom ball specifically, where you can turn that the other way. Now this delivery averages as a bowling average of 12.2, which is off the charts in comparison to his off break, which is 19.16, which is effectively a stock ball, and then his arm ball at 26. So he's got some incredible stats going for him there. The really interesting thing is how he's managed to maintain all of this, because even now, he's still got an economy rate which is very low. And in the modern game, he's still got the second best true economy rate behind Rashid Khan. And all of this considering that he was banned for bowling in 2014 and 15, where he had to remodel his action. So some of the changes he's made off the back of that, according to the guys at CricViz, is it's been less of a focus on spin and an increase in accuracy. So the amount of carom balls that he bowls has dropped. So in 2014, he bowled 55% of his deliveries as carom balls, and compare that to 18% in 2019. So he's made a massive shift in the way that he's looked to go about stuff, which is kind of he's accepted that he's not going to be such a serial wicket taker as he was in the past, but he's going to maintain his defensive bowling record and being able to bowl tough periods of time in the game. But the other really interesting thing around what Narine has done is, since the remodelling of his bowling action, there's also been a shift in how he's looked to go out and be a useful role as a batter. So before 2017, where he was given the opportunity to open the innings for the first time in T20 cricket, 81% of his innings were at 8 or lower. And since 2017, when he was given that first go, 71% of his innings have been as an opener. And he's created this ability to be able to score rapidly in the power play against spin. So his strike rate against spin in the power play is 166, which is the third highest to have played T20 cricket to have scored more than 250 runs, which is quite a small amount of runs considering how many games can be played all around the globe for T20 cricket. The other exciting thing that they notice about this is that because his worst innings doesn't consume many balls, on average he faces 13 balls per dismissal, that his attack rating and power rating, and with that strike rate, creates an incredible advantage to any team, because they know what they're going to get. They're either going to get a lot of runs very quickly, or he's going to get out and then someone else can take the game forward as well. So combining his bowling with this ability to now be at the top of the order to pinch hit effectively has created this opportunity to make himself one of the best cricketers in T20 cricket ever, which is fascinating to kind of think about. Now, all of these things are really interesting in terms of what these can mean for us. So you think about some of the personal qualities that Sunil Narine must have to have undergone 2 action remodels as a consequence of being banned from bowling. There's got to be an element of openness to change and learning, and he's got to be fairly thoughtful and critical of what he needs to be able to do, and reflective to ensure that he can build on the challenges that he's had to be able to take them forward. And you also would assume that there's a high level of determination and self-awareness around what he's looking to do and looking to achieve. So there's some really good personal qualities that, although aren't written within the article, you can kind of infer from to see that he's got some real qualities about him that would make him a viable option continuing throughout the modern game. It also challenges kind of the status quo of what we perceive spin as. You know, we always talk about beating batters in the air then off the pitch. Well, bowling at those speeds into those lengths kind of changes our understanding a little bit of what beat them in the air means as well, because it's just as much about being able to get the ball to go up and down like what you would consider a conventional spinner to do, but then also being able to go flat and quick to be able to cramp people for room, and understanding how you can then effectively be an attacking and a defensive bowler. So someone like Narine has got this incredible skill set of bowling flatter and faster into the pitch as a really good defensive bowler. But then if you've got the capacity to change your pace and to get it to dip and drop and bowl into fuller lengths, then you can potentially create yourself into a multifaceted bowler that can bowl in different situations, not only within a T20 game, but in other formats as well. And it also shows the importance that a pace range has for a spin bowler. You know, whatever your stock pace is, if you've got the capacity to vary that either side, then that's something that's going to be really important for you. I was lucky enough a few years to go to a few months ago to go back and watch the England under-19s train prior to going out to the World Cup. And one of the things that was reinforced was that about the spinners' ability to change their pace within 10 mile an hour of their stock ball, so to be able to go up in pace but also down in pace and maintain the same amount of revolutions on the ball. So it's something that's definitely being thought about throughout the game. And then the final thing that I think about is how it's created this real specificity around playing roles within the side. You're not necessarily looking to pick someone just because they're a good bowler, but it's about selecting someone who's good at bowling in these times of the game to be able to ensure that they can give themselves the best chance. But because of his multifaceted element, he can bowl the tough overs in the power play, tough overs at the death, but then he can also go out and open the batting and pinch hit for you and take the game forwards. It's created a real clear role that through his self-awareness of being able to develop that and other people's awareness to be able to see that and take that forward has made him a really viable option. So kind of going full circle a bit, back to the nature of CricViz as a kind of source of information, I think is a really fantastic piece, and it does lots across different facets of the game. So I've read other stuff around test match cricket, I've read stuff around 50 over cricket, why other people are so good at the skills they do, and it's informed not only some flat stats but with some stats that they bring other things to life as well, and it creates some really interesting things that people can take going forwards. So I hope that's provided you with another area that you can go and explore and kind of learn to develop your own awareness of our game. I'll leave the link in the bio for CricViz, and I hope you like this. Give us a subscribe on YouTube and then a like on Facebook and Instagram. Sorry, not Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.